thank you so much for agreeing to come and have a real life conversation with me today.
Thank you for inviting me.
That is my pleasure. We met at a networking event, as is often the way. Yep. And as discussed, your reputation precedes you, because it was like, do you know Martha? And I almost was like, no. And you could almost hear people kind of going, she doesn't know Martha. Like it was, a damning thing. I didn't know Martha, and I'm so glad to have met you and hear so much about the amazing work that you're doing. So I was wondering if we could start really simple, and if you could introduce yourself and talk about what you're up to and maybe a bit of why.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Martha Pusey. I'm really interested in storytelling and life stories, and that very much stems back to my very first job in care. So I've worked in care for over 30 years. My first job, I would always tell you, is the best job I've ever had in care. I was a tea girl at the age of 15. My friend's parents had a rest home, and there were 6 ladies who lived there. And my job was literally at the weekend to sit with each lady for half an hour, have a cup of tea and a chat. And there was a lady there who lived there, Winnie. She was the most inspirational lady I think I've ever come across. She was born in the turn of the 19th century. She was the first woman in her village to not only learn to drive, but own a car and had her own business. And the stories that she used to tell me were what hooked me into care. And I think that love of people's stories and people's lives has kind of always been with me ever since. And so fast tracking to now, I'm currently a professional doctorate student, among a few other things that I'm doing. But I'm researching how to support people with dementia to tell their stories about their lives, to inform any future care plans that they might need if they go into a care home. And I won't say it's been a labour of love, because actually I've really enjoyed the work that I've been doing. I have an amazing advisory group who I find so inspirational. Three people with young onset dementia who challenge my thinking, who are really happy to tell me, no, you're wrong, which is great. It's really refreshing to be told that. But not only that, to be able to make friends and connect with them on a really different level than if you're working with somebody in care. I think you always have that kind of love for people when you're working with them, but I think the connections just feel really different within the advisory group, and it's really lovely to feel so inspired by them and their stories and their journeys with dementia. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment.
Wow. Well, I've had the privilege, Martha, of reading one of your first drafts.
Yep.
Of your resource pack.
Yep.
And some of the incredible work that's gone into that paper. And it's obvious not only the passion that you have for the topic, but also the knowledge, the understanding, but I think the real life experience of people living with a dementia is shining through in the work that you do. And I think that makes it just such an incredible resource and tool for people. And I'm excited to see where it goes. So first of all, I guess, well done and thank you, because your work is informing people like me, people that are caring for someone in their life and need as much help as they can get, frankly. And mine is on a more personal level rather than in the professional care setting. But I think there's so much use for it everywhere. And so I'm very grateful to be part of that journey with you. But actually, part of why I am doing these interviews is to thank and celebrate the people that are doing incredible work in the dementia space, all sorts of different things, but those people and how they've contributed and helped to my journey and what I'm doing. One of the things that I'm incredibly grateful for is the way that you think about other things that might help me. And you're very generous with your time by introducing me to people and events and groups that actually will help me. And in this very sort of tight world of dementia care, it's really obvious that people care, and it's amazing. So thank you. Thank you for being part of my journey.
Thank you.
We have talked on previous occasions about the importance of good care, and we've talked about communication being key to it all. So I was wondering if you wanted to share any of your thoughts or opinions on what that looks like or what that means to you.
I think for me, so, you know, just actually from what you were saying about, you know, people in care, we, you know, we absolutely do. And I'm always really sad when you see lots of stories in the news about, you know, bad care, and, you know, people think that care homes are a bad place, but they're actually places that are filled with love and kindness and compassion. And we never hear those stories. And that, you know, that does make me sad, because I've always, whoever, you know, I've cared for or supported, I think of them as if they were an extension of my own family. And why would I not want to love them and have the absolute best for them? And while as a professional, you're always told, oh, you know, you mustn't get close and you have to have your boundaries. Actually, people have a place in your heart, because when you spend so much time with them, and you're often doing some very intimate things like washing and dressing people, and they're placing that trust in you, it's really difficult to not connect to people, and have that kind of love for people. So I think it's really good to be able to acknowledge that there is that love within care. Yes, there might be, you know, the odd kind of downside, but care is a really lovely place to be. And I think from a professional point of view, I think I don't think I could be anywhere else in a career. My family all come from a very scientific background, and I was always told as a kid, you need a proper job. Working in care is not a proper job. I love digging at my dad now and saying, Dad, I don't work in a proper job, but I'm doing a doctorate.
I love that. I love that. I think you're absolutely right. And the expression I've used over the last year or so is, if you know, you know. And it's so common, obviously, but I didn't know anything about the world of care because I'd never been exposed to it. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't, you know, I care a lot about people and places, and, you know, and the importance of people in my life, but I hadn't ever really been exposed to professional care. And in my mind, it is one of the most underestimated, complex, serious roles that there are. Mm-hmm. And if I just look at the UK and the importance of not only paid care, but the unpaid care that is done, that sustains our country, we have so much to thank carers for. Absolutely. And I didn't know enough about that. And I'm embarrassed that I didn't know enough about that. The carers that I've been exposed to have something in common, and that is that big, good heart. And like you said, you know, that love, that's such a big word, but a huge heart to be able to give yourself to someone, to be able to help their day be better in some way, shape or form. It takes a very special person to be able to do that. And I think it is really important that that is more understood. And as you say, unfortunately, it's bad news that makes the news. And it's not the good news stories. And the majority of care is wonderful.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think even when you look at some of the unpaid carers, again, it fills my heart with joy when I used to see a group of them kind of get together, and people who would never have come across each other in society, but are brought together by a disease, who form friendships and bonds and love that goes on even once their loved one has passed away. And that I always just find amazing, because it's this interconnection of this one disease that can bring so many people together. It is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
But just going back to you asked actually about communication, and I kind of completely sidestepped that whole question. But I think for me, communicating with somebody with dementia is no different to communicating to anybody else. It's about meeting them where they're at. It's about finding those common interests, and even just about learning about them. And just, I think I hear sometimes about people feel a bit scared to talk to people with dementia, but it's a label. It's just a label at the end of the day. And I wouldn't talk to somebody that I cared with dementia any different to when I worked in learning disability services, to how I would talk to my own family. Just being normal and natural with people, I think, is just so important. But probably more so in the kind of later stages of the disease, when people can be really unsure about who it is that's around them, unsure about the environment that they're in. I mean, I've been people's aunties, people's sisters, people's best friends, and that's great. Like, yeah, I'll happily embrace that role if that's who you need me to be in that time, in that moment. If that brings them joy and comfort and reassurance, then that's absolutely fine. And even being able to use that as a kind of technique, for somebody who just won't go to the toilet because they're petrified of what's going to happen. But if you go into that kind of, I used to do it quite a lot with one lady, in that sort of friendship way of like, oh, I'm busting for the loo, you need the loo, oh, who's going to go first? Like, go on, you go first, and then I'll go after you, I'll wait outside the door, kind of thing. And that works so well. So when you can kind of adapt to where that person is and adapt to, their communication style, the care becomes so much easier. It doesn't become this, come on, you have to go to the toilet, come on, you have to. It just becomes so much more natural and comfortable for that person.
Wise words, Martha. Wise words. I love it. I genuinely do. Part of what we're trying to do with just chatting to people is hear their hints and tips. What works for you? What doesn't work for you? Or, and you bring a lot to the party. And as I say, your research is amazing, and I'm excited for you and where it's going to go, and looking forward to it being published so that more people get to celebrate it with you.
Absolutely.
So we'll watch this space with interest.
Yep.
And once again, I want to pass on my sincere thanks to you for the help and support that you've given me along the way. I'm at the very beginning of my journey, but people like you make a massive difference. So thank you for sparing me time on a regular basis.
No, you're welcome, and thank you as well, because it's, when you see people who get what you're doing, and even not from a kind of professional perspective, but as a having a loved one with dementia, and you can go, yeah, I get that. That's what keeps me going. That spurs me on, because it's like I'm doing the right thing. So thank you as well. I really appreciate it.